Race number 1 at Eagle Farm is the Middies Benchmark 90 handicap over the 1810 metres, and I am with Rodagia here. Pretty confident on this one. Was absolutely flying prior to finding the wet track last start. 3-time 1800 winner, and I think can prove hard to beat here for Tim Clark and Chris Waller. It's going to get the dry surface it wants. It won the Anzac Day Cup at Randwick quite impressively under Tyler Schiller, though had no weight and had the wide draw. Ran an outstanding race at the coast behind Athanatos, who won last weekend at stakes level in a group 3, and then struck a soft track last start, didn't handle it, and now gets in here carrying a kilo less than it did last start and draws a really good alley, and I think can get the job done. Cavalryman, well, we know where he's going to be. He's going to be back in the field and charging home, and in a race like this, he could well turn up. Barrier number 5, no weight, 54 kilos for Rachel King and the trainer, and is hard fit. Will run a race. Kaluakoi won last start, was only third up that day, and had the Zach Purton Magic aboard. Drawn barrier 17 and a couple metre better at the weights, though Jason Collett can still pilot this horse into a prominent position, and Viking Invasion in for 4. But Rodagia in the first at Eagle Farm, I like its chances. Race number 2 at Eagle Farm is a benchmark 85 handicap over the 1200 metres, and I'm with Now Is the Hour. Tommy Berry rides for Tony Golan. This horse has been very unlucky his last two, being beaten by narrow margins. He's hard fit now. He can be up on speed, and I think that with that pole draw and position advantage in run here, I think he's going to take an awful lot of betting. He's the horse that's in form, fit, and what I can see here, he's got a little bit of class on this field, and I'm confident enough to be with him, and I think the 260 is a great price and is a great bet. Vaduin for second, Dan Stackhouse for the Larkin team. They travel this horse. Had a very good start to the preparation, though it's fizzled out a little bit. Though having said that, he's run very good races, and his last start trial on the Sunshine Coast was absolutely dominant. And I think he'll love getting to Eagle Farm, but from the wide draw it could make things tricky. Restonica in for 4th is another one that's in good form. And is racing really well. That has to carry a fair bit of weight, and She's Exotic in for 4th. But with Now Is the Hour in race number 2 at Eagle Farm, hopefully class and the unluckiness hope they can show its class, and the unluckiness can come to the end. Race number 3 at Eagle Farm is the listed Lightning handicap over the 1,000 metres. They'll go like last week's pay here, and I am with Monty Supreme. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying, how the hell do you think that horse can win? But the horse is hard fit. They're gonna go hard here. You know, they're not gonna mess around with Steady Ready in the race, and a couple of others that can go forward. Golden Boom, Flying Destiny can be up there. Preeminence is another one that can go forward. There's gonna be good speed. Monty Supreme can sit back off that speed. Baker, King, good weight, a draw to get into the race, and the blinkers go back on and is hard fit. I think that this is at 550 is way over the odds, and I think that this horse should be favoured, and quite dominantly favoured in my opinion. So happy to be with it. Steady Ready won this race 2 years ago, and we know where it's going to be, up on speed and fighting out the finish. Tonkin, is he better suited at 1,000 than he is over 11 and 12, though I'm still, he hasn't cracked it at stakes level, and I'm convinced he's probably a lesser grade horse. And Flying Destiny is absolutely flying, though the handicapper has caught up with it here. Monty Supreme for mine in the listed Lightning handicap to charge home and be the strongest late. Race number 4 at Eagle Farm is the listed Showa Hard over the 1,500 metres, and you would assume if the winner of this would probably go to the Atkins next week, and I think it's going to be Glenorchy here. I think that this horse is hard to beat. I know it hasn't broken its maiden yet, but it was a day where not a lot made ground, and he was charging home and to and through the line over the distance of 1,200 metres at Renwick on a soft 7 track. It was just what you wanted to see going up to the 1,500 metres, and Waller's used this race before to find his Atkins horse, and I think he's got one here. Tommy Berry in the saddle, good draw. I think can settle closer and come pounding down the middle. back on a dry surface, and a good draw were the two things that really convinced me. And of course, has got the Waller polish, and no doubt if he wins this, J-Mac will be riding next week. Shintono in for second has got the obvious form, broke its maiden, and then performed well at Stay Straight off being 3 wide the trip. Jamie Mellon for the McAvoy team drawn barrier number 2, deservedly in the market. West Coast, the one that's been well backed. For Jason Collett, good draw and was a stormer over the top of them last start to get its maiden out of the way. And Saxon Spirit probably lacks the class of the top 2 in the running here, though. Having said that, will run well for the Munns team and CJ Graham. But I'm with Glenorchy in race number 4. Race number 5 at Eagle Farm is the listed Queensland Day Stakes over the 1200 metres, and we've had a very well-backed runner here in Chains of Love, and I've got that horse for a second, and I'll get onto it in a minute. But Miss Free Love for me, for Paul Snowden, Tim Clark with the 55 kilos. I think that this horse brings a certain level of class here. Won the Denise's Joy last start in impressive fashion, shooting up the rail to get the nose in front right on the post. Dry ground is the key to this horse, and you just look at a couple of the horses that this horse has been racing around. Only 3 starts ago, it ran 3rd at Flemington, and the Red Roses behind Point Barrow and in Karuna. Both horses would start at least odds on here. So with that, I think that this horse can prove hard to beat here, being quite significantly clear on the rating points of Chains of Love. That horse coming off a very impressive win first up, though draws wide for Craig Williams and the team bringing it south, being the Massara team. So I think they can run well, though offer rating a 64 where Miss Free Love's on 86. It would need to significantly lift to beat Miss Free Love. Earned a burn. I was on this horse last start, ran really well, got the win, though convinced he's better on a softer track and he's not going to get it here. And Mercy Me in for 4th. Ran really well against Miss Free Love last start in the Denise's Joy and gets a little bit of weight off it. But I think that Miss Free Love, class, fit, jock, trainer combo with a good draw should prove hard to beat. Race number 6 at Eagle Farm is the Magic Millions National Classic over the 1600 metres, and the 2, 1 and the 5 look the main chances in the betting and the main chances of the race, but splitting them was quite difficult. I've gone with Panito on top, not confident at all, but a few things convinced me. Drawn a good barrier. Last start winner. Has run well at Eagle Farm before, obviously racing in the Oaks last year, running second. Can be in a prominent position ahead of Churchill's Choice in the run and be camped right behind Surf and Bird, who also draws wide and might have to do a bit of work from the outside draw to find the front. I just think it sets up really well for another Panito win here, and I think it can get the job done at a good price. Churchill's Choice has been screaming home in its last couple of starts and had absolutely no luck last start, and I do believe the Scone Cup, and prior to that won the Hawkesbury Cup and was very impressive that day. Surf and Bird, again from the wide draw, might have to do a bit of work to get there and has been lackluster this preparation, though having said that, it's only had a handful of starts, so you can't completely dismiss it. DeClichy Boulevard in for 4th. It was a massive win first up on wet ground, though the wet ground seems to be where this horse thrives and won't get that Saturday. Panito for mine in the Magic Millions National Classic. Just looks the class. Eagle Farm race number 7 is the listed Spear Chief handicap over the 1500 metres, and I'm telling a lot. I'll tell you everybody right now, do not drop off King Zephyr. He is racing incredibly well. Craig Williams on for Graham Begg. Yes, he's drawn wide though with a handful of scratchings. He looks the one on paper you want to be on, and I'm hoping coming to the 400 metres he's not going to be too far off, because I think he's got the best finish in the race. He's the best horse over this trip. I mean, his 1400 metre record is impeccable. An extra 100 metres probably will do this horse all the world of good, considering he's only gotten beaten by narrow margins his last 2. 4th up, hard fit, Willow aboard, he'll know what to do, should get the job done. Harry Shot will have the map advantage on King Zephyr, though he's been up a long time, though it's hard to knock away his racing considering he hasn't missed the top 3 in quite a few starts. Cranky Harry in for third will be running well and can be up somewhere near the pace. And Cronenborg, he's been very good in his last 2, winning and placing at listed level at big prices. And he's going to go around a big price again here, considering I think King Zephyr is going to be well back. Though King Zephyr should, on paper, got this field cooked and hopefully does it on the racetrack. Race number 8 at Eagle Farm is the Group 1 Queensland Oaks over the 2200 metres, and I tried to get this favourite beaten Panova because originally looking at the race I thought, there's no way that this also run 2200 metres, but at the end of the day, hadn't run over an extended trip before prior to winning these Australasian Oaks in Adelaide, and won it quite softly, gets a good draw to do no work. Ben Mallam in the saddle obviously with J-Mac suspended, and to be honest, it brings the class. I can't see why it won't run the 2200 metres off having a resting run early. I just think it's the one you want to be on, and I think we'll be winning the Oaks this year. Solid Gold in for second, ran really well in the Derby last weekend. If it can back it up here going to be a big chance from the good draw for Tommy Berry. Chispa in for third. This horse would have been my top selection had it drawn well. From barrier 20, is going to go right back and have to do a lot of work. Though if it wins, we've got a nice horse on our hands. And Fireball Miss beat Chispa last start in the roses leading up to this, but that horse in itself draws wide. Panova for mine, class, and draws quite well. Race number 9 at Eagle Farm is the Group 2 Morton Cup over the 1200 metres, and you've got to wait till the last for my best bet, but she's here. Manal. Ben Mallam for Michael Freeman, drawn the inside barrier number 1 to hopefully do no work and get out late and trounce them, or either be a moral beaten, because in honesty, she just looks an absolute good thing on paper here. She's a Group 1 winner. She's been very competitive. She had 3 runs in her last preparations and being going well in all of them. She's had quite a couple of trials leading into this, and she's been ultra impressive in both of them. Had this ground had Sting out of it, I'd be even more confident, but I think class will get her home here. In flight in for second, Craig Williams on for Joe Pride. This horse loves wet ground, though a little bit of a query on top of the track, though has a good draw and a lighter weight, and can run really well being hard fit. The Inflictor's racing really well. It might not show it on paper, but though I think he could have something to offer come the 200 metres here. And Hidden Wealth in for 4th. But Manal for mine in the Group 2 Morton Cup. She runs up to anything near her trolls, she bolts in. Thank you everyone for watching my preview for Group 1 Queensland Oaks Day, and it's Stradbroke Day next weekend. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for the preview for the big day at Eagle Farm, Stratty Day.